Hi everyone, this is Geoff Hall with Around Town, and I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Gary Lavelle. Like myself, Gary's a townie, he grew up here, but Gary is presently the owner of CSA Graphics over here in the Nabnasset section of town.
That's right.
But recently was anointed the presidency of the Westford Business Association. That's kind of going to be the focus of why you're here today, Gary. We'd like to talk about the Westford Business Association, but I'd like to first of all talk about Gary Lavelle. Who's Gary Lavelle?
I'm a resident of Westford since 1972.
Okay.
Went to the academy, all through the Westford schools.
Yep.
Had a family business in town for many, many years. That's why we came here.
Lavelle Machine, correct? Right next door to us on Route 40.
Next door.
Yeah.
Dad started it over on 110 across the street from the shop, from the Neshoba Tech, in his basement. Built this building over here in '84. I did it for 30 years. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
And that's where CSA Graphics came in.
Yeah, that's when you were associated, very active with Lavelle Machine up until, 10 years ago, Gary? When
It was 5 years ago.
5 years ago,
yeah.
when you started CSA Graphics. Okay. On the state championship hockey team while you were playing at Westford Academy,
I was.
correct?
I was.
Yeah, good memories of Westford Academy then.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun at the academy.
Yeah. You moved in here from where, Gary?
Billerica.
From Billerica.
Yeah.
Okay. So Gary, you became president of the Westford Business Association. My first question is, we haven't always had a business association in Westford. It's a fairly new organization, per se.
Mm-hmm.
How long has it been in existence?
This is its third year. It was Dan Bush started. He spoke with Jody Ross, and
Okay.
they figured they needed a business association going on. I only jumped in. I was a charter member. I was a very active member, but Dan Bush set the foundation for it. We're trying to tie the ties between, all the locals in Westford. The EDC, the town managers, the selectmen, and the planning board, and they thought there was a piece missing. So Jody reached out to Dan. And Dan started the business association.
Okay, the EDC is the Economic Development Committee.
Correct.
And that started, what, 8 or 9 years ago?
I don't know when they started that, to be honest with you, Jeff.
But it was kind of a grassroots organization at the beginning. If I'm correct, was it Tom Berry and some of his folks?
Yep.
But were retirees, actually, that were concerned with the economic development within the community.
Yep, and Jody also put that together. Jody's a member of that also. So she's very she's very good at trying to put things together in town and make things happen and fill some of the voids. And she's very active in the EDC herself. She's a member.
Oh, okay. So you got the town manager right there,
exactly,
in the middle of things. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, so she has her fingers in that. What is the goals of the Westford Business Association? What is your long, short range plans?
We're trying to make it easier and more beneficial for businesses to come to town. If you're going to put a business in town, we want to make it as simple as possible. We're trying to get more businesses to fill the vacancies that we have around town, and we're trying to, like I said, fill some of the voids that are going on and tie some of the loose ends together that have been out there and not making it happen for the businesses in town. Okay,
two things. I attended a forum that was held. I guess there was a study that was done. Was it by? I'm trying to think of. Anyways, it was a morning forum, and it was, I guess, sponsored by the Economic Development Committee, and they had a gentleman come out and looked at Westford, and I guess his basic findings were, for example, that it was a good place to do business. One problem was, and one of the drawbacks, or the major drawback to anyone coming to town, was the permitting process.
It's difficult in any town. The bylaws, they're changing all the time, you know, whether it's monthly, weekly, yearly, or whatever it is, but there's always situations going on. And to be it's a little bit scary for new business to come to town, especially smaller ones. You know, if you're a smaller business, you come into town and you don't know all the rules and the regs and the sign laws and the bylaws and everything like that, especially if you're trying to build, it's tough. So one of the things we tried, the EDC did, they put together a small little packet, pretty much in layman's terms, on how to become a business in town and where you can go to reach out for people if you have any questions, who you can ask, and everything like that. So it was a complicated process, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to simplify that. We're also reaching out. We're trying to find all the vacancies in town, all the vacant buildings in town. We're trying to get the transportation, from Lowell and everything else like that to get some of the businesses, and the bigger businesses are trying to get, figure out how to get their employees here. So you get a lot of big businesses in town and the smaller businesses in town. So it's a fine line of what you're trying to accomplish.
How many businesses are there in town, Gary? Do you know?
No, I still haven't figured it out, but I know we have about 90 on the business association right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of my goals was I'm hoping I can double that, by this time next year. And I want active members. I'd like to see active members. No, don't just throw your membership fee and say I'm a member of the Westford Business Association. We'd like to see it, some of the functions, some of the events, and voice your opinions and try to solve some of the problems that are going on. If everybody has a common problem, we can address it and hopefully come up with a solution for it.
Okay, I'm going to throw you a tough one.
Okay.
Okay. I can think of two very controversial proposals, business proposals for the community. The one on Boston Road for a restaurant, and of course the one right here on Route 40 for the asphalt plant. What's the position of the Westford Business Association on those two?
Well, I don't think we have one right now, and that was one of the as the association was building. We're trying to build the association, and some of the things get bypassed, and I think we need to stand behind, these businesses that are coming in town, whether it's the asphalt plant or the restaurant, that they're trying to put into town, and take a stance, whether it's a positive stance or a negative stance, and have a voice, in town on where the business association stands. Personally, where I stand, I come from a business background. I grew up on Route 110. I grew up with a business in my basement. I'm proactive for anything, and I've always said that Westford's a reactive town. They're not a proactive town. They react to things that are happening in town. They don't see down the road what potentially, could happen, and they react to such as the asphalt plant and such as the restaurant. But we'd like to we'd like to start supporting the businesses in town. Support Ebby, if he wants to do that restaurant. But we want to make it comfortable for everybody. Make it a good place for everybody in town, even in the residents and everything. But I think it's a great place for a restaurant. I think it's a great place for an asphalt plant. Is it for everyone? No. Are there hazards involved? Yeah, they did all the studies and they did everything that they needed to do on it, and the business did their due diligence on it, and I think they made the town a very good proposal. And
I guess there's pros and cons with most anything, whether it's a residential. It would. I mean, Gary, I was born in 1948, and I grew up in town. When I graduated from Westford Academy, there were probably 9,000 people in the community, and there's been a lot of residential growth and negativity towards that. It seems that the last one through the door wants to slam the door on anyone else that comes in a lot of times.
That's right.
And that you can't do that, obviously. I guess a couple of things come up as you were saying. The Westford's a reactive community. They are in some ways, but I can point specifically to master plans. Okay, 1979, the community had a master plan that talked about developing two commercial and residential areas. Route 110 would be a corridor, and Route 40 would be the other corridor for commercial and commercial industrial development. I think we've seen that on Route 110, and that's probably a result of 495, and with the hotels coming in kind of as a focal point. But we have not seen it along Route 40. Are there plans? Does the Business Association have a vision for Route 40?
Jeff, the WBA really doesn't have a stance on Route 40 right now. We are a new association. We're still trying to find our way and let the dust settle. After the foundation's been built. Now we're trying to build an association to a.
You're trying to bring in more businesses.
Bring in more businesses and get some more input from the people and find out where we want to go. The town has mentioned it. That they do want to build it up, but there's been really nothing done about it.
It's interesting, Gary, that when, because this is 1979, which is nearly 40 years ago, and a couple of things have happened along Route 40. In 1981, and you wouldn't remember this because you were in high school at the time, probably, but you remember they wanted to put a hazardous waste plant.
No, I do remember that.
I think. Do you remember it? Stop It, because it was called IT. I forget what the initials stood for. And there was 1,800, 2,000 people, packed town meeting, and they withdrew the proposal, which led to the agreement with, I think, the Fletcher family at the time. But Route 40 after that kind of remained, a gas station here, Mario's Restaurant, which has been around since the 1960s. But we have not seen the type of development that we've seen, along Route 110, or even though we have Route 3. So I guess it has the potential. You must see that.
I do see it, and going back to that hazardous waste plant, going back, what I said, we're a reactive town and not a proactive town. That hazardous waste site should have, opened some eyes to a lot of people and said, hey, you know what, there's potential here for a lot of things to happen on this site right now. Either put things into place, try to purchase land or something. And now once again, 30 years later, we're reacting to another business that wants to put something over there that the town doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
But on the Route 40, developing Route 40, it's like I said, right around Greystone. I think all the industrial property stops, and residential starts. So I don't know where they want to go. I know the town has talked about it. That they're putting a set of lights up at the bank at the Four Corners right there.
Okay.
In 2018.
Yeah.
I was just in a meeting with Paul Sterrett from the EDC, and he said those lights are going in 2018. And they have a few plans down the road for the Tingsboro Road intersection there also, but there's really no place for industrial property, industrial businesses to go.
Or commercial businesses.
Or commercial businesses, unless they start rezoning stuff.
Yeah, it seems Route 110, of course, says that. But if you want to go to a restaurant, that's where you go. You see the potential for areas like that. I want to talk about a couple of other areas. One particular is Graniteville. Okay. And the reason I bring up Graniteville is because I remember having a conversation with a member of the planning board a few years ago, and Bridge Street, for example, that has the old foundry.
Yep.
Is still zoned, I believe, for industrial and commercial there. Of course, you have 12 North Main Street, which is the old Abbott building built in 1859 with the roof collapse. And there's a task force working on that. Are you folks working hand in hand with those people trying to bring in businesses there?
They have reached out to us. We're working with them through the EDC. The EDC has been working closely with them, and the EDC approached Patty Mason is liaison for the Westford Business Association through the EDC, and the EDC has been working, with Patty, and she's been keeping us informed of what's going on. They're trying to find out what kind of space is going to be welcome over there. They talked about a certain amount of things of what's going to happen, but they still got to figure out the parking and the whole structure of everything, and if it's going to be cost effective for the builders to make all this happen. And they're trying to find out who's going to occupy that space and what type of space, they need to build out to make it happen. There's a lot involved in that building over there between the land and, the structure of the building and everything. It's just, it's a lot of work. They're doing a great job on it. And, once it's done, I think everybody's going to be real happy with it.
Let me ask you this, Gary. As I say, with the master plan, kind of focus on the two areas, Route 110 and Route 40. And it's 1979. But even back then, there was a concern about businesses just popping up all over town. And so zoning has kept things kind of in areas where businesses should grow. Do you think there's an anti-business attitude within this community by the residents? Do you see that as a problem?
No, I don't see that as all. I don't see that at all with the residents. a lot of them, they don't really care. Not to put it
Yeah.
in the wrong way, but it's really not bothering them. They're worried about the bigger places and the things that are going to have an impact on their daily travel, on their health and stuff like that. The asphalt plant, they're worried
Sure.
about their health, and they should be. They should do all the digging and everything else and figure out what's going on over there. And they have legitimate concerns. People have concerns over on where the restaurant's going because of traffic, because it's supposedly the gateway to Westford, and the fire department that's going up there right across the street. So they're not. I don't think they're anti-business. They're just concerned about the impact that some of these bigger businesses are going to have in town, whether it's a hazardous problem or a traffic problem.
Okay. It's interesting. I remember Market Basket opened in 1985, where the Whole Foods is now on Route 110.
Yep.
And I was on the Board of Selectmen at the time, Gary. And I remember talking to some of the residents down in St. Mary's Drive, which is the area that runs in back in Nashoba Tech. And they didn't want to see a supermarket and a plaza up there along 110 because they didn't think it was conducive to what Westford was. Now, that was 30 years ago. So I'm wondering if that attitude is still prevalent, and you seem to think that's not the case.
Well, it's not.
Or is it just a NIMBY thing?
Well, it's not anymore because back then there was what 5,000, 6,000 people in town.
Well, in 1985, I'm going to say there was. I will have the figure for you in a second. It was 14,000
people, and a lot of those people were in town. They were in town. They've been in town for you got a lot of people in town that have been here for a significant amount of time. So that has changed over time because the development has gone up. The the industry, the commercial side of it's gone up, and a lot of people are coming to town for different reasons now. They're coming here because Jimmy Antonelli and Bill Olson did a great job with the schools.
Absolutely.
We got some of the best schools in the country. You can't, and people are coming here just for those school systems, and that's what's happening. People, as soon as the taxes are high, and some people don't choose to stay anymore. The kids are graduating, they're moving on, they're going to somewhere else. So it's a different era, and it's a different. We used to go down to Cozy Corners or the Turkey Farm, and no matter where you went, you ran into somebody you knew. You don't do that anymore. And I was talking to you earlier. The population in Westford, because we did the traffic studies on the fire department. The traffic, the population in Westford goes from 20,000 almost to 130,000 people during the day, just because of all the businesses in here. So you don't have the. Unless you've been from Westford for a while, you don't know what it's like to be here. You just.
It's funny, Gary, because as I said, I grew up in town, and so the gradual growth I've seen, and so it hasn't impacted me as much as I always bring up the fact that I remember having after the hotel opened, my class of '66 Westford Academy had a 20th reunion there, and when some of the members came back, they said, "I can't believe Westford has a hotel."
That's right.
And now we have 3 hotels. You talked about taxes being high. One of the issues that comes up every year, and I don't know how much of an issue it is now with the business community, is tax classification. Apparently, the selectmen have just set a even tax rate, so it's not shifted to the business community, which I know they do in Lowell. To a certain extent, they did it in Chelmsford, but we've always maintained a level tax rate. Has that been a deterrent to bringing businesses into the community?
I don't think so. I really haven't investigated it too much, but I don't think so. Because I look at it. I look at it on the business side of it. Because having a business in town and watching my father go through all the stuff growing up and listening to everything that's going on. I personally don't think that the taxes should be shifted to the businesses. I think it should be spread out through. For many reasons. One is the businesses are open, a third of the time. They're not impacting the schools, and there's pros and cons about it, and everybody has their own side of it, which I understand. But it's just like I said, I really haven't looked into it too much as of yet. But I'm comfortable with the way everything is right now with it. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't see it as being something that's driving businesses away from Westford. If we maintain the tax rate the way it is, now of course it wouldn't. Okay, Gary, what are your goals then? What are your goals? You're coming in as president. It's 3 years old. You're trying to bring in members. What do you want to see say, after your tenure of 20 years as the president of the Westford Business Association?
No, I don't think it's going to be that long, but like I said, I'm hoping to build the association. I want to build the association. I want members to be active in the association. I want the.
When you say active, in what way, Gary?
I want to, I'd like to see, more involvement in the committees that we have. We have an events committee. We have all sorts of committees. We have a lot of stuff going on. So we're trying to get more people active. I would like to hear what the businesses have to say, what their pros and cons are, what they like about being in town. Because unless we find the problems, we can't fix them. So if everybody has the same common problem, we can address that problem. We can reach out to the people that we need to reach out to. And
how do you collectively, as a business association, get into the community so that you develop positive relations, so that they look upon businesses as being a positive impact on their community?
We need to get that first feather in our cap, I think. I think we need to establish ourselves and make ourselves credible to the town. Whether it's the asphalt plant or the restaurant or putting trails in town or whatever it is, and make sure that we can make as many people as comfortable as possible. Make sure the business gets what they need, but make sure at the same time that the residents are comfortable with what we did. And if they look at the business association that way, they're going to say, we're going to start leaning on them a little bit more for their advice. I'm on the permanent town building committee. Okay. And that was a new committee that was formed. I'm guessing it's about 8 years ago. And that was we were just a committee that we felt was just put together. But over time,
what's the purpose of that committee? I mean, when you say permanent town building, because there's always town buildings being built, like schools or
schools, anything that the town builds. So the fire department, the schools, we oversee any of the projects that are going on in town.
Okay.
And Tommy Mahana has made a huge impact on. He's opened up a lot of people's eyes to what's going on in town, and the town leans on us now. They look to us for our approval, our input. They really lean on us a little bit for these projects that are going on now, and because there's a lot. I mean, you got Paul Davies, you got Kirk Ware, Tommy Mahana, and there's just a lot of people that are on there with a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. And Paul being an architect, absolutely.
Yeah,
and they certainly come in with a lot of knowledge, and that's the type of people you're looking for to serve on committees that you have. Let me ask you this, Gary. What is the potential for Westford in terms of businesses?
The potential.
Potential for growth. I mean, what do you see Westford 10 years from now in terms of businesses? Would you like to see this corridor, Route 40, developed with certain businesses? Or?
Well, Westford's made of villages, and the couple of the issues that I'm seeing right now is all the businesses are going on the Route 40 and the 110, and people are starting to get frustrated with the traffic. And I brought this up the other day at the EDC meeting, is everybody's starting to bypass these major roads and going through the smaller roads in Westford. It would be great to have all the businesses on Route 40 and 110, because that would give them the outlets that they need to do, because you can get right on Route 3 and right on 495. I just don't see Route 40 being developed anytime soon. Yeah, it's just.
Well, kind of. I was speaking to one resident of Graniteville recently, and he told me one of the frustrations he has since Parents Market closed, for example, and you don't have the convenience of a convenience store. You want a gallon of milk, where do you go? Do you run up to Route 40? Do you run up to Route 110? I mean, I'm in Forge Village, so I've got the package store, I've got the pizza parlor right down the street from where I live, and soon to be opening the village store again. Richie Quacker is with Chris Huell is reopening that in mid-December, I believe. So I have those. Graniteville doesn't.
It's tough to bring a new business into town. It's tough to if you're going to go into a new location, to stay in business is tough. To open up a new business is even tougher, and to make it work, especially when you have. Granted, you can't grab a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread or something like that. You got to go to 110 or one of those locations, but you just can't. As a smaller business, you can't compete with them unless the numbers, all the numbers work, and it's just really hard to stay in business. You still have the Little Peaches, you still have the existing companies that are around, which are great to have, But to see all these bigger companies coming in, and you know, it's a David and Goliath thing. You know,
Sure.
you're just getting rid of the smaller guy. I mean, going back to the Walmart would have really put an impact on the town, but
Sure.
it's still happening. But the smaller, we have a lot of smaller businesses in town, which is nice. The bigger businesses we do have in town, we do have the Whole Foods, we do have the Market Basket, but we didn't have the Walmart, so they're going to put the smaller business out. We have Puma, we have Red Hat, we have Juniper, we have those bigger companies that.
How active, Gary, the Business Association, and that was going to be my next question, I was going to lead into that, is you're right, you have Puma, you have Red Hat. Are they active members or active participants within the business community? They just say, yeah, we'll be part of the Business Association. But they're major employers. So.
Correct. They are. Well, that's where the transit, the transit thing came in. They're trying to find a way to shuttle people to Westford a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that was that was brought up. They are active, but they kind of have the hand size because it's a corporation. It's a big corporation, and sometimes their home base, all their answers don't come from the Westford location.
Yeah.
So they have to go reach out to the
Corporate.
big guy and figure out what they can do.
Yeah.
Because they do have their hands tied. But it's we try to reach out to them, and the select members that we do have, they're very active in the Rotary and the Business Association.
Okay,
and so
so
forth.
they are very active members.
they are.
Yeah. Transportation. Of course, Route 110. We see it there. That having grown up in town, Gary, like you, I mean, you just didn't see that type of traffic that we see now. Getting people into the community is a problem, other than morning traffic.
I don't think so that much. It's just a lot of people are. They want to come check out Westford.
Sure.
They just some don't have transportation. Some choose not. Some just choose public transportation.
Yeah.
So we want to try to offer that to them, so we can get some of the bigger companies that are maybe starting to branch out. Like some of the bigger companies in Westford are starting to find a presence over in Cambridge or out in Boston and stuff like that. But we want to try to prevent that from happening because we don't want them to leave 10 years down the road when the lease is up. So if we
Can we expect a train to come through here?
I don't think that's gonna.
We'd be working with
our trains keep falling off the tracks. So I don't.
Lowell Regional Transit Authority. Are you working with those folks kind of as a basis for providing transportation?
They are. I'm not, like I said, I'm not too involved in that.
Yeah.
I'm just getting bits and pieces of it through some of the meetings I've been at, and listening to Jody talk and so forth. But I think that is who they are working with.
Okay. Well, Gary, it looks like you've got your hands full. I know it's I always wondered why Westford did not have a business association, and in my years in government here, and I know that that there's some challenges. I hear people around town speaking of their attitudes towards, and there's positive and negative.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess your job is to kind of sort those things out and promote your organization so businesses are looked in a positive light, we'll say. Well, good luck to you, Gary.
Thanks.
Okay?
Thanks
and thanks for
Jeff.
coming on,
Appreciate
and we wish you the best of luck in what you're doing. And I hope to see you folks around town.